Hi BookTube, this is Juan from Just One Reader here with a Friday Reads update video. So I did not finish reading any books whatsoever this week, and that is mainly because I have been reading classics, classic literature, which is not my go-to genre. It's not really a genre, is it? It's more like a category of books that I and many other readers, I'm sure, associate with fear and anxiety and really elaborate writing styles that become really hard to decode, and narratives that can be dry, and really super lengthy novels that never seem to end and that are so time consuming. So classics are books, as you can see, that I associate with hard work, and I'm pretty sure that's not just me. That's something that I share with many readers, a certain resistance towards reading classic literature. Also because we have this misconception sometimes that it's going to be really highbrow, put on your English accent and just start snorting the air up your nostril and just start talking like this all of a sudden and wrinkle your nose and just... It doesn't have to be like that. Let me tell you why. Because both of the classics that I've been reading, one of them is actually very time consuming and it's really long, but it's so entertaining and enthralling and delightful, and I wish it were even longer. And the other one is so perfect that I don't care if it is sometimes a little bit hard to follow in terms of the writing. So let me tell you right away what they are. One of them is David Copperfield. This is the dust jacket. It's not the actual book. I have it over there. So David Copperfield by Charles Dickens. This is supposedly Charles Dickens's longest novel in terms of word count. So it is really long. The edition that I own is like 900 pages approx, and it is long, it is lengthy, it is time-consuming, but it's my favorite book. I am still very much at the beginning of the novel. I mean, I've read like 300 pages of 900, so it's like a third of the way into the novel. It's perfect, it's delicious. Sometimes I feel like I just want to start crying for no reason because I feel so touched and moved. But then this is also one of the most hilarious books I've ever read. It's so perfect. I cannot describe what the experience is except to say that it's perfect. And then the other classic that I'm reading, which is also perfect, but it's so completely different to David Copperfield. It could not be more different. Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. This is such a perfect book, in my opinion. And I need to underline the word opinion, because this is one of the novels, especially in classic literature, this is one of the most polarizing, divisive, controversial novels that I have ever seen talked about on BookTube. People have died and killed one another because of this book. That sounds a little bit over the top, but that's me. This book does not create 3-star ratings. No, this book creates reactions of, oh my god, this is the best thing ever written, which is me so far, or this is the absolute most horrid, awful, depressing, weird, strange, melancholy, horrible thing that's ever been put to page. I am absolutely adoring it. I am having the best conversations with Leo from A Little Book Life because he hates it, as many people do. He hates the characters, he hates the pettiness and the hatred in the novel. And many other things, I'm sure, but I really can't see that myself. I am finding this to be much better than Jane Eyre. I know that some people have just started throwing rocks at the screen right now, because that is a very dangerous thing to say here on BookTube, where everybody loves Jane Eyre by the other Charlotte. Is it Charlotte? Bronte, I think it's Charlotte. I love Jane Eyre myself, don't get me wrong. I really loved it. But to me, if you compare that one with Wuthering Heights, Wuthering Heights is like it's harder to love. It makes it harder for you to enjoy it, to decode it, to understand it, to really get into the core of it. So, in a way, this book actually mirrors the character of Heathcliff. Heathcliff is well, I'm not going to say what this book is about. I might, and I probably will do an individual review for this once I finish, which will be this weekend. Stay tuned for that review because I will have a lot to say. But Heathcliff is really one of the most interesting, fascinating, complex characters that I have ever come across in literature. Just in general, he is the definition of a tragic character for me, and it really is the story of his tragedy, of his downfall, of his internal corruption. I love this book so much. It's so bizarre and strange and atmospheric and gothic and gloomy. If you enjoy the weirdness and the vibe of Daphne du Maurier's Rebecca, this is better. This is like that, but it's so much more substantial. I am only halfway through the novel, a little over halfway through the novel, and this is a 5-star, 10-star book for me. It is absolutely spectacular. The story is bonkers, and at the same time, it's sort of believable. The story is... There's so much that I want to say about this book. I won't do it here because this is just a Friday read, so I just want to say that so far, I think the book is perfect. I think it's much better than Jane Eyre because Jane Eyre is like that golden retriever that is very friendly and nice and lovable. So it's very easy to love that dog or that book. This one is like the stray, raggy dog that you really have to decide if you want to adopt and take care of, and then you will learn to love it. It's in a way, it mirrors the character of Heathcliff himself. He's a character that everybody seems to hate in the novel, and we're never really sure why at the beginning, because he's just a kid who has been rescued and adopted into the aristocratic weird family, the Earnshaws, and then this boy Heathcliff starts getting all these messages of hatred and abuse, and he becomes exactly that kind of person, abusive, and people refer to him as a fiend, a devil, a creature of nightmares. And that's pretty much what the book itself makes me think of. It mirrors that same experience. It's not a book that many people will immediately fall in love with. This is a book that is very challenging in many ways, but it's also incredibly fascinating and entertaining and accessible. It's one classic that I have found very accessible. So that's what I've been reading, and I really hope I will finish that one this weekend. And then I want to start reading Assassin's Apprentice, which is the first book in Robin Hobb's trilogy, the Farseer trilogy. I have had some problems with Robin Hobb before. I started reading the Lifeship Traders trilogy like 2 years ago, and I read the first book and I hated it, but I think it was the translation and the time in which I read it. I don't think I was in the right mind frame. But I've heard nothing but wonderful things about this particular trilogy. It sounds like it's going to be a really detailed character study, a character-driven fantasy with not a lot of fantasy, which I think is the best way to go for me. This one is short. It's like 350 pages, more or less. But then the second and third books in the series are absolutely gigantic, like monstrous. But if I really get invested in the character and the author's voice, which is the most important thing, then I will be reading the following installments. So stay tuned because I will be reading this next week probably. And that's it. That's my Friday Reads video. Goodbye. Don't cry for me, Argentina. Bye.